Hello and welcome to the April B2G Victory member-only session. Today we're going to be talking about top websites for government contracting research. Your facilitators for today's session are myself, Julie Irvin Hartman, co-founder of B2G Victory, as well as Hannah Brock, who's the marketing coordinator here at B2G Victory. The other co-founder, Susan Repka, is out recovering from medical leave, and we wish her well wishes, and she is doing awesome and will be back next week. We're going to just go ahead and jump right on in on what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about websites for research. And it's so great to see so many familiar faces and names here attending. And so if you're new to one of our webinars or seminars, you know that we do very engaging sessions, and we really are intentional about providing tools for immediate implementation. We're fellow entrepreneurs, and we understand that time is of the essence, and time is the only thing that you have. So we want to make sure that what we are delivering to you, you can implement not only immediately, but go ahead and incorporate that in your short-term and long-term plans for your company's growth. We're going to allow time for questions and make sure to include all of this in your plan of action. What we want from you is to listen and participate. We're going to ask, what do you think? What would you search for? Have you used these sites? And test drive these ideas. We have a variety of companies at a variety of levels. So what might work for you now could continue to work for you months and years ahead, as well as maybe this is something that you're going to test drive and it didn't work now, but you're going to retry it again in a couple months when you have a little bit more capacity and capabilities. Provide feedback to us as well as to each other. And most importantly, now more than ever, we want to celebrate and share in each other's successes. So that's what you can expect from us, what we can expect from you. And here at B2G Victory, we provide a range of wraparound services to meet all of our clients exactly where they are. Maybe you're new to government contracting. Maybe you've been doing this for a while and want to expand the types of contracts that you get, whether that's the size of the contracts, maybe that's the geographic location of those contracts as well. And so our certification guru is Susan Repka, and she's done more certifications and more site visits than the fire marshal. So if you're interested in certifying your company or expanding certifications, Susan is the absolute guru in that space and has been doing that for more than 2 decades. Capture management, that is the overall word that we use to help with the strategy and finding opportunities, as well as helping you execute how you're going to grow your company in the government contracting space. Once we found those opportunities, once we found those proposals or those bids, how are we going to respond to them? We can help you with that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this today, as well as all of the different registrations and websites that you're going to need to list your company on in order to either do research or find opportunities. So relationships and registrations are equally important in the government contracting space. Like I said, we like to meet our clients where they are. So if you're looking to improve your processes in government contracting, we can definitely help you with that. And today is a great example of additional training that we provide, as well as one-on-one coaching. Whether you'd like specific training for your company or attending one of our free trainings, or even a training with a government agency partner, we can do that as well. And if you have specific needs, we'll be more than happy to do some one-on-one training and coaching for you. Today's session is led by myself and Hannah Brock. Like I said, Susan is out on medical leave and she'll be back next week. And Hannah is going to be dropping all of the information in the chat for you. So you can either follow along or, you can copy and paste and save them for a later date. We are all about actionable items, which leads you to victory. So as we go through the content, think about, is this something that I can incorporate into my business next week? Which is actually kind of scary that next week is already Q2 of 2025. Like Q1 has just flown by. Or is maybe this something Q3, Q4, or if we want to, have a little bit more long-term planning in our victory plan, is this something that needs to go all the way into Q1 of 2026? Just a little reminder about the victory portal. It's a wealth of information based on decades of winning contracts in the government space. Susan and I and the rest of the B2G Victory team have been working on the victory portal for multiple years, getting all of this information that's in our heads out and on a platform that entrepreneurs can access anytime, whether that's 2:00 on a Saturday, because we've all been there working, or just like last week, 2:00 in the morning on a Tuesday, right? When you're just still hammering away at your to-do list in order to get things done. So we've got a couple different levels of the portal. We've got the Victory Pass, which is the free level, or the Victory Plus, which is only $50 a month, which gets you access to everything, which gets you access to the glossary, certifying agency listings, coaching discounts. Both levels have access to the B2G Victory events calendar, which you definitely want to visit on a regular basis, as well as videos, and you've got your FAQs. So just kind of a high-level overview for some of you on the Victory portal, depending on what level you're at, depends on the availability of the resources. If you have any questions about the portal, feel free to email hello@b2gvictory.com, and Hannah's going to drop that in the chat right now. And we'll be more than happy to make sure that you're at the right level that fits for you and your business. So why is research important, right? Why did we, at the end of last year, when Susan and I sat down and planned out the entire calendar for the member-only sessions, why did we say we need to dedicate an entire hour to research, right? Well, research increases your odds of winning. And that's what this is all about, right? We're all about winning contracts, winning government contracts to grow your business. And then evaluating the competition. The government space is one of the best places to do business because you are able to get immediate and competitive intel, right? I'm able to see who's the current winner, what their prices are. So I can see, and we like to use this word a lot, who else is playing in my sandbox, right? This is one of the few spaces that you're actually able to get a full view and do some calculated competitive strategy. You can plan strategically. Is this the right fit for me, right? Does it make sense for me to go and do work with this agency if this is what the competition is charging? Can I bid and price competitively? Maybe or maybe not. You don't know until you do the research, right? And then also able to see what would I need to do to compete in this space? What are those requirements that those agencies are looking for? What do I need to do, right? What are they looking for? And how can I build my proposal library in order to make that happen, right? So once again, research is vital for these following components. And then once we've done the research, then we can let the data help us develop and refine our overall strategy, right? Because we've got our strategy and then we've got our tactics, which support that strategy. They're going to help us execute it. So once we do the research, we're going to use that data to develop a targeted strategy. Once I do that research, then it's going to help me decide which events that I need to attend. Maybe I need to attend a pre-bid meeting. Maybe I need to attend more member-only session webinars. Maybe I need to attend a how to do business with session with a specific agency. Or if I'm ready, I can apply and attend to be a part of these programs, such as the IMPP program or the Opportunity U program that Port Houston puts on. Once you also do your research, you're going to be able to maximize your time at matchmaking events. You're going to be able to articulate the scope, the capabilities, and capacity of your requirements, of your company based upon those requirements, because now you know the language, right? You're talking the language that the buyers, the evaluators, and the government contracting officers know. And then different agencies use different forecasting tools. So back to looking at a long-term strategy, if an opportunity is up next year, say Q1, well, then I am going to start looking and doing the research to see how much that agency spent when it comes up for renewal, and how am I going to allocate time for that to do the response, as well as do some long-term cash flow forecasting and projections. And as you do research, you're going to become more and more efficient. Everything in government contracting is a muscle. Everything that we do regarding our brain is a muscle. So think about that. We are just strengthening and exercising our government contracting muscle. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Don't want you to get overloaded. Don't want you to get discouraged. It's just like that first time that you got to the gym, right? I remember the first time I went to the gym, I just got on my clothes, I got in my car, and I just went and sat in the parking lot. And that was a win, because I had to start literally exercising my muscles, my mental, physical, and emotional muscles, to get into that routine, right? Okay, we're going to organize our research categories today by federal, state, and local. So let's jump on in to federal research. So the federal government spent $759 billion. That's with a big old B, $759 billion in 2023, in fiscal year 2023. So that was 430 agencies and sub-agencies that collectively spent all of that money. Well, the Department of Defense, no surprise, spent $470 billion, right? But I also want to focus on a couple of other numbers that really matter to us as entrepreneurs. So for example, of that $759 billion, $178 billion was spent with small businesses, right? And if you're a small business, go ahead and put that in the chat and say, yes, I'm a small business, right? A subset of that $178 billion that was spent on small businesses, $12 billion was spent with certified women-owned businesses. So if the federal government is one of your target clients, then there are opportunities. And Susan and I love opportunities, and that's why we love this space and are so passionate about doing work with small businesses in government contracting. All righty. And so government contracting means federal, state, local, and education. And we're going to talk about all three of those as well. And that's known as SLED. All right. So how do I know and where do I go find opportunities in the federal space? How do I even just start doing my research? Well, there's two primary places in the federal government that you can go. If you want to do any work at any level of the federal government, remember there were 430 agencies on the federal level. You have to be registered in SAM. And SAM stands for the System of Award Management. So it's a super quick and easy website, and it's SAM.gov. And you're going to need to register in sam.gov if you want to do work with the federal government, like I said. Okay, so once we're registered, how do I go and look up opportunities? Well, when you register, it's going to ask for an email address, name, and quite a few other things. But one of the required data points is a cell phone number, because every time you log in, it does two-factor authentication, and it's going to send a code to a cell phone number. Okay, so I'm going to act like we are in SAM. And once you go to SAM, you're going to click here on research, and you're going to go here to contracting opportunities. So let's see what type of opportunities are out there up on SAM, right? And remember, SAM is at the federal level, okay? So we're going to click on search, and we're going to click on contracting opportunities. And I know that our NAICS code is 541611, which is Administrative Management and Contracting Services. If you don't know your NIGP code or your NAICS codes, those are on the B2G Victory portal with direct links that you can go and look those up. So I can put in our NAICS code, or you can search by word, and I can see that there are multiple awards available. I can see what agency it is, as well as who the awardee is. So under this NAICS code, these two contracts have been awarded. And I can see the company as well as their UEI number and the specific office that it went to. So depending on what you do, what product or service that you offer, then you can find your NAICS code. Then you can go to SAM and look that up and see which type of contracts have been awarded. We're going to drill this down a little bit more and look at product and service codes. So now we're going to put support management data collection, and I can see here that this award type was an original award, when it was updated, when it was published, what office is, and then who the awardee was. So under this specific contract, which company was awarded it. Now this is great. So now I can see who's playing in my sandbox, right? The type of contracts that are awarded, as well as the size of companies that these contracts are being awarded to. Right? We've got a full hour full of websites. And so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next federal website, which is the FPDS. Well, what does that stand for? That stands for the Federal Procurement Data System. Well, what is the FPDS? It is the single source for government-wide procurement data. It's part of the General Services Administration, the GSA. Maybe that might be a word or phrase that some of you may have heard of. And the actual database, the FPDS database, the federal government contracted out. This is under a contract. It is operated and maintained by IBM. So it's all of the government data, but IBM operates it and maintains it, right? So the FPDS works a little bit differently than SAM, and you're able to type in one or more keywords that you want to search for, or you can use your NAICS codes and your PSC code. So what we're going to do is we're going to just show that how something would look on FPDS with the same NAICS codes and PSC codes that we just looked at on SAM. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So I did the search. I'm going to do search within NAICS code, this NAICS code, as well as this PSC code, which is R702. So then I'm going to click search. And here in FPDS, it shows me the top 10 departments that bought under those NAICS codes and that PSC codes. So now I can see these are the top 10 departments on the federal level that have a history of buying what I provide. Also, I can look at the 10 contracting agencies, because remember, you've got departments and then you've got agencies which sit underneath those respective departments, okay? So now you understand the hierarchical relationship of departments and agencies on the federal level. Moving on, here in FPDS, the top 10 businesses that were awarded contracts on the federal level. Okay, and we just got a question. What are the different types of codes we need to know from our industry and where to find it? So the types of codes that you're going to need for your industry on the federal level are NAICS codes, which stands for the North American Industry Classification System, and PSC codes. And on the B2G Victory portal, there is a link that you can go and look up your NAICS codes and your PSC codes, as well as when we get to state contracting, those are NIGP codes. And you'll be able to just put in your keywords and it'll tell you what codes those fall into, because everything is code driven. Every purchase, every spend track is all under these codes and in specific categories. Okay, so then here on FPDS, and I clicked on one of them, I can see that all of the details of the contracts that meet that specific criteria under those NAICS codes and the PSC codes that I put. So here's the NAICS code, which is administrative management. And then here's the matching PSC code. Here is the company that it was awarded to. Here's the date that the contract was signed. Here is the award type. So this was a delivery order with the Department of the Army at $1.4 million. Here's the name of the contracting officer. And if you wanted, you could click and get additional information about this specific contract. So let's go ahead and do that. So when we click in to it, we can see that this is closed. And all of this great information about this specific contract, right? So we can see that it was the performance period started in April of 2009. It ended in 2010. And it was for $1.4 million. Continuing to scroll down on the screen, you can see the legal business name and all of that. And you can also see what certifications that they have. So this was awarded to an 8A firm in a hub zone that is small business certified. And they're also a minority-owned business. And you can see the details of the specific minority criteria there. So that's on FPDS. And as you go through, you can click on and find additional information about the opportunities regarding the agency here, the agency's full name, and all of that information. So maybe take some time, maybe it's 15 minutes next week, and just go into FPDS. If you don't have a SAM registration, go ahead and do that as well. And perform your initial search in SAM or FPDS if working at the federal level with the federal government is something that makes sense for your company. And maybe you don't have an answer to that question, and that's okay, because doing this research will help you make that decision. All right, since we are in the state of Texas, and I know we've got a few of you from across the nation, the concepts stay the same, but we're going to use the state of Texas due to time constraints. So just like the federal government spent billions of dollars on contracts, state of Texas did too. There are 200 state of Texas agencies. So those are 200 potential clients that might be the right fit for you to do business with. And those 200 agencies collectively spent $51.8 billion in 2023. If you are hub certified within the state of Texas, because I got some good news for you. The state of Texas spent $3.5 $5 billion with Hub certified companies in 2023, fiscal year 2023. And those are 6,500 hubs, right? So there are tons and tons of opportunities in the state of Texas. If you're not Hub certified, we can help you out with that. And there's quite a few other resources that we can point you in the direction for. Like I said, Susan is the Hub certification guru and will be able to help you out with that. So research, right? So if I'm Hub or if I'm not Hub, that's fine. Let's do some research on the state level. So the state of Texas has a system called the Electronic State Business Daily System. Whew, that's a mouthful. And the acronym is ESBDS. So just like the federal government has SAM, state of Texas has ESBD. All right, so what does that look like? Also, if you hear people refer to it as Texas Smart Buy, that's the same thing as well. Well, here it is. When you click on the link, it pops up and you're able to look at current, closed, and awarded solicitations. So this is great because just like Sam, what's going on right now and what can I look at historically so that I can plan accordingly. So FPDS is organized by the agency number, name and number. If you know, you can click this down and it'll show all the different agencies. Once you narrow it down maybe to 5, then you'll start knowing the numbers. Here is the status. I can look and see if these are posted, closed, or awarded. The class or item code, those are going to be your NIGP codes. Right? So in the federal space, it's a NAICS code. Here in the state of Texas, it's an NIGP code. And then I can also, if I don't know your codes, that's okay too. You can do a keyword search as well. So let's look at a few solicitations that are up. All righty. So these are some solicitations that were active back in May of last year. So when you look at it, it's going to say the RFP number and name, right? And a brief description, when it's due, the due time, super, super important. Right now, B2G Victory, we're working on a proposal that's due by 5 o'clock today. If I email it to that respective agency at 5:01, womp womp, not going to take it. They're not going to accept it. So pay very, very close attention to the times of when these solicitations are due. Ideally, you want to do it the day before, but look, we get it. Sometimes life happens, but you want to try your best to upload or email or deliver, because we still have to hand deliver some proposals the day before. Who's the agency and what's their number? So now you can see it, it's highlighted in blue, just like all the other ones. You can click on it and it's going to provide you the detail. So here's all of the details on this specific opportunity. What are the classification codes? Doing your research like this as well. If you don't know your codes, here's a way that you can start learning them and finding them out. And so here are the NIGP codes that are related to this specific scope of work. And you can see that you've got airport facility construction, engineering, and all of those types of things, and then the respective attachment. So I encourage each of you to find an opportunity on ESBD, whether it is current or past, and just walk through that whole process. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We can schedule a one-on-one coaching call and then walk you through this so you can start training your government contracting muscle, right? Here's an example of a engineering opportunity that was awarded. So now I can see who the contracting officer was, as well as who it was awarded to, how much it was awarded, and whether they were Hub certified or not. So now I've got 2 contact points to talk about maybe potential opportunities for my company If I'm an engineer, I can reach directly out to the contracting officer, which is Kelly Morris, which is the Lamar contact, as well as who it was awarded to. Now, the opportunities for this specific contract are probably closed because they've got their team developed. But what about future opportunities, right? This is a marathon. I am looking and thinking about future growth and future opportunities for my company when I'm doing this research. All right, so I can drill down for NIGP codes, right? And NIGP codes use, agencies use these for when they're reporting their spend, as well as when agencies are posting opportunities, right? So it's kind of that matchmaking that happens. So it's really important to know your codes and then know to look and how to find opportunities when those codes are posted. All righty, so we started at the federal level, then we went to the state, and now we're coming all the way down to the local level. So it's really important to keep track of your usernames and passwords for all of these, because you are going to have different login information at the federal level, the state level, and even at the local level, right? And so here in the greater Houston area, we're going to quickly go through some platforms as well as the different agencies that use those respective platforms for you to do your research. So here in Houston, if you're interested in doing work with Fort Bend ISD or HCC or HISD, which are educational agencies, or Harris County, City of Houston, or Port Houston, right? And I think I grabbed all of those. Okay. So the federal government uses SAM. The state of Texas uses ESBD. These specific government agencies use another platform called Bonfire. Okay. Now, the good thing about Bonfire is you can use the same username and password for each one of them. So when you log into Bonfire and create your account, I'm able to see Harris County, Metro, Fort Bend, and HCC, which makes it easy for you. So make sure whatever and however you're keeping your usernames and passwords, that add that column for what that platform is, because it will really help you in the future when you're going to visit these respective sites. Houston Independent School District, HISD, uses a platform called IonWave, which is similar to Bonfire, just a little bit different, right? And so when I take the example of FPDS, and that the federal government has contracted it out to IBM, same type of thing here. HISD is paying IonWave to help them with all of their procurement. All four of these agencies, HCC, Fort Bend, Metro, and Harris County, use Bonfire, just a different platform. Think of it as like maybe the different type of car that different agencies drive, right? Okay, so Port Houston uses a platform called BuySpeed. So they're all very similar, right? You're going to look up information. You're going to be able to set up a profile. You're going to need to put in your codes, your NIGP codes, and or your NAICS codes. So you're going to need to do it for all of these. This is why it's so important that Susan and I always say, pick 5 agencies to start with. You could spend an insane amount of time registering on all of these different platforms. So key takeaway when you're doing your research is narrow it down to a couple of agencies and stay organized. So the city of Houston, as we're keeping it on our in the local space, the city of Houston uses SAP. They used to use Ariba, but they're changing, right? They changed the type of a car that they drive. And so now they're using SAP, but it's going to be the same username and password. So maybe the city of Houston is one of your top 5 agencies that you want to research. You're going to want to make sure to register on them and do that as well. So if we go to the Great North here in Texas, We're just going to go up I-45, show you a couple of different examples of the greater Dallas area, right? And so maybe you're interested in growing into the Dallas area, maybe you're already there, and that's where your base is. So we wanted to show a couple of examples of how you can use the same platforms that Houston agencies are using in the Dallas area. All right, so we're gonna, as examples, just talk about these: Dallas County, Dallas College, City of Dallas, DART, as well as the Dallas Independent School District. So remember, we just mentioned Bonfire, right? We mentioned Bonfire with HISD. So if you've got a Bonfire account for some Houston agencies, that same Bonfire account will help you do your research with the City of Dallas, or DART, which is Dallas's equivalent of Metro here. It's their public transportation. Okay. I'm going to introduce a new platform called BidSync. And the County of Dallas, right? So we've got Harris County here uses Bonfire, but the county, Dallas County, uses BidSync. So if you want to research or set up your profile with Dallas County, you're going to need to do that in a platform called BidSync. Yes, and I'm going to pause here and acknowledge Tamara's question. Yes, to confirm, SAM.gov and FPDS are federal. Yep, you got it. For state, the state of Texas is ESBD, aka Texas Smart Buy. And then for municipal, and it depends upon the municipality, right? Different cities use different ones, but Bonfire and IonWave, correct, were the examples that I showed for the city of Houston, or for the Houston area. And we're going to show you a couple more here in Dallas. But yep, you got it. Understanding the hierarchy and the platforms. And when Susan and I sat down back at the end of 2023, it's exactly why we said we need to do a session on registrations to help people understand the who and the what and the why, to help mitigate the confusion. Yep, you've got it. So iSupplier is another platform that Dallas Independent School District uses, right? So if you're interested in doing work with DISD, they use a platform called iSupplier, okay? And then Dallas College uses their own platform. So they went in and did their own proprietary platform. So as you can see, it is really, really important to figure out who your target audience is, understand what platform they use, and then take the time to get registered on that platform. So we can't talk about Dallas without talking about Fort Worth, right? So we'll talk about Fort Worth and kind of go through that same exact cadence of showing the agency and then the platform. Fort Worth, the city of Fort Worth, and Tarrant County College District use Bonfire. So now you're starting to kind of see some cadence here, that if I want to do work with these respective agencies, then Bonfire might be the platform, right? So then I'm able to really leverage and only have that one username and password for each one of these registrations. Okay, IonWave, we talked about IonWave as well. So Fort Worth Independent School District and Tarrant County use IonWave, right? So if you want to do work in the county level, here in Harris County, you're going to need to be registered in Bonfire. But if you want to do work with Tarrant County, which is the greater Fort Worth area, the platform that they use is IonWave. And like I said, all of these platforms are very, very similar. Things might be in a little bit different place. It's kind of like when you go from a Ford truck to a Ram truck to a Chevy truck, right? Things are all still there. You might just have to look in a different place or click a different button, or you might have to scroll down to see that information. Okay, so Trinity Metro, right? So staying in the transportation space, Trinity Metro has their own platform as well. And so if you're in that space, Houston Metro has their own platform. DART in Dallas has their own platform, and Trinity Metro has their own platform, right? So you'll need to get registered in all three of those, as well as when you get registered, take that time, take those extra minutes to go ahead and do that research. Click in there, look at the past solicitations, look to see what the current solicitations are, and see what opportunities are there for you as you continue your government contracting research, right? So you'll need to get registered and then do the research. And so as you're doing your research, if you've got questions, go to the B2G Victory portal. All of you are members at the B2G Victory portal at different levels. Some of you are free, and then some of you are plus, which is the full access, paid for only $50 a month. We are continually updating the frequently asked questions. You can just put in a question, or you can look at the content type of how you want the question delivered. So as you're doing research, don't hesitate to go to the portal, put in your frequently asked questions. There are no silly questions in this space, and that's why we're constantly updating this. Maybe it's something about an RFP, an RFQ, or even a capability statement. We are also updating our blog posts. So there are blogs that are there up on the B2G Victory portal for you to read, if that's how you like to get your information. And you can also see that we've got the different blog categories. So maybe I really want to read about my proposal strategy, or if I'm working on my capability statement, I can go to the blog there. Templates. We wanted to make sure that you could quickly get up and running. So there are quite a few templates, as well as what program those templates are in on the portal, whether you're working on a proposal, and you might need a firm profile template, or if you're working on your capability statement, or if you're working with Susan on a proposal or a certification. There are templates that are there available to you to help you get things accomplished much faster. The glossary, we just updated the glossary. We added 45 new words to the glossary. And so if you're finding a word when you're doing research and you don't know what it means, or you don't understand it, or you need an example of it, feel free to go to the B2G Victory glossary, put in that word and or acronym, right? And then that will pop up as well. We wanted to, be able to have resources for you, just not on a Friday at 11:30 to 12:30, but resources for you anytime that you need to be able to access them. I've got another question. Is fpds.gov the same as sam.gov? Those are two different platforms that serve two different purposes. Yeah, so great question, and they are different. So with SAM, you need to be registered, right? And that's where current opportunities are. On the FPDS, you do not have to be registered. You can just go in there and start looking up historic opportunities. So we want to thank all of you for being here today and joining us. And there's even more education that B2G offers with all of our partners as well. These are just 3 of the many educational events and networking opportunities that are available. Hannah, who's on this call, she's the one who manages the calendar. Hannah put over 300 events on our calendar last year in 2024, from educational events to networking events to bid opportunity events that our partners were having, and how to do business with different agencies and different prime contractors. So she is saving you tons of time of having to figure out where to be, how to find it in your inbox. She's taking all of that and posting it all up on our B2G Victory events calendar. Yeah. And thank you, someone who said, I love the calendar. Yeah, we spent a lot of time thinking about that, and that you can search by either virtual or in-person events, and then back to if there's an agency that you're specifically interested in, you can search by that as well. You can search by a date range. So back to the 3 sessions that are coming up. We've got one with Houston Community College on time management in a world of to-do lists. April 23rd is an all-day session with our partners, Lift Fund, and Susan's going to be doing that, going through the entire hub certification process, taking a much, much deeper dive on ESBD. And then if you want to join us again, we would love to have you at the end of April. Our sessions are the last Friday of every month from 11:30 to 12:30. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'd love to continue the conversation with you on social media. Make sure to connect with us. If you have any questions, anytime, feel free to email the hello inbox, just hello@b2gvictory.com, or give us a call. You can also text that number. You can also send a text to 832-305-6958. And Angela on our team manages that. And so she'll be able to get back to you with a quick text or a phone call as well. That's our Google Voice number. Make sure to tell all of your fellow entrepreneur friends about the B2G Victory portal, about the B2G Victory team that's here to support them, and invite them to come and join a member-only session. These are monthly, exclusive only to members. You've got to be either a past member or a plus member to attend these sessions. Dr. Loretta said, I stated that we can assist you with writing a proposal. Yes, ma'am, absolutely, we can. We can help you find the opportunities. We can help you develop your proposal library, as well as be there with you every step of the way to write it, review it, and even submit it. Absolutely. So yeah, if you're interested in having us help you write a proposal, go ahead and send a direct email to hello@b2gvictory.com. We wanted to, when we started this session, start with expectations. And I want to make sure that your expectations of this seminar were met. And as we close out, if you could put in the chat one thing that you got out of your time today, one thing that you got out of our time today together. Woo, don't say that fast. Troy says, focus on a few and stay organized. Absolutely. Because when you're laser focused, you can measure those results and then adjust accordingly. And then when you stay organized, you're able to do more efficient research. You're able to respond faster, and you're able to win more work. So thank you so much, Troy, for putting that in the chat. Jasmine, great to see you, Jasmine. Industry data and valuable websites. Correct. Yeah. And then which websites to go to for what, right? Because this could be a little overwhelming, and that's what we're trying to do, is to not make this as overwhelming and to point each and every one of you in the right direction that is the right fit for your company now, and as well as the right direction for your company to build capacity, scale, and grow accordingly. Tamara, the breakdown of each site and where it's applicable. I've registered to all of the above, and I had no idea why I was registering and what I was getting. Absolutely. So thank you so much for saying that. And Sandra, the various websites, breaking all down into digestible chunks. We encourage you to visit the B2G Victory portal, call Angela at the 832 number or send us a text. And then at any time, feel free to email us at hello@b2gvictory.com. Diana, thank you. Choosing 5 kinds and just focusing from there. Yes, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful spring weather. Enjoy your afternoon. Take care of each other, and we'll see you soon.